It's Thursday, March 17th, 2016. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, preparation. Let's do this. So, my company, changed all its insurance-y stuff, and I finally sorted all that out. So, new insurance, and my insurance now is actually way better. So, I started doing all that dance of, I don't really have a good PCP, so I was looking for a new, main doctor to be my doctor, and I was...
Did you find one?
Not yet, actually.
Yeah, it's not
Almost
easy.
every good doctor that my insurance takes that I've looked... I went to ZocDocs, and I was like, who are the best, 40 doctors in Manhattan? And as I go down the list, none of them are taking patients. They're all like, "Nah, we don't need anyone. Go."
I had an awesome doctor who moved away. I think I've said this in the show a long time ago. And then, so I eventually last year I went to a doctor that was at the same office, but
Not
wasn't
as good.
Obviously. And he was okay. It wasn't like a bad doctor. It was definitely a sciencey doctor and not a woo doctor, which was good. But it wasn't someone who really took time to chill out like the other guy did. The other guy wanted me to come back for a second appointment and spent a lot of time discussing everything and didn't care what level of conversation.
Well, I guess I've decided.
This guy was just sort of he seemed like he was in a hurry and was just sort of
yep.
All right, there's nothing wrong with you, and I know that you haven't been to a doctor, and it's listen, I know there's nothing wrong with me. I haven't been to a doctor in a zillion years.
But I'm in my 30s, and I just want to make sure there isn't.
And I'm just oldening, so I'd like you to at least make it appear that you're spending a little bit of time examining my situation.
So my last primary care practitioner I visited once. Every time I get a primary care practitioner, I get it because there's a reason I need to go to the doctor, and I don't have a doctor. And every time I go, I'm fine. The thing is never a problem. And the doctor's always meh, so I never go back to them. And then usually my insurance changes or something. And then I start all over.
Why couldn't that awesome doctor just stay? Why do you have to go take a much better position in Florida?
But I've decided my metric now is, do they have modern stuff in their office?
That's always, I'm measuring everyone. I mean, every business.
And I'm going to be real.
Any business I'm measuring by how modern the shit is in their office.
Yep. I'm going to be really real here. Are the people, the socioeconomic class of people in the waiting room within a couple of bounds of me, or are they way above or below me? Because if they're way above me, I probably can't actually afford that doctor. My insurance probably won't cover it that well. And if it's way below me, it's probably not the best place to be for obvious reasons, because American healthcare is kind of terrible.
How do you know that it's not Iron Monkey with all those?
I am confident. I would bet that
Iron
Monkey
was serving the rich people and also the low-class people, and he was the best doctor in
You know
town.
what? If Iron Monkey came out and was the doctor, I would continue to go to that doctor.
But no one knew that it was Iron Monkey. They thought he was Dr. whatever his name was. They didn't know it was a secret, like Spider-Man.
Unless they ever saw him and his wife clean up the house.
They closed the doors before they cleaned the house.
But I don't need to go to a doctor, so I'm still looking for a doctor. Either no one will take me or the people that will take me.
If anyone knows a good doctor in Manhattan, I mean, I'll switch.
Oh, the other thing, all the doctors that are flagged as definitely taking patients are the ones who are paying to run ads in things like ZocDocs. So
I didn't check ZocDoc. I checked the
ZocDoc's
webs. I checked. I know it's a cool thing.
It's way better than the insurance sites.
My insurance site, but it's not great. But that's
what do you got now? Because I switched to Aetna.
I have United something.
Oh, I used to have United. They're the second worst.
Yeah, they have an app now that I use.
Yeah,
it works.
Oxford was worse than them.
I never had that.
They're not good. I kind of miss while Obamacare is definitely a positive thing, 100%. If you disagree, you're wrong. Because I was young and healthy, and because insurance sucked so bad, it was kind of cool back when I had my weird FSA, HSA combo health insurance. That was actually the best insurance I ever had. But anyway, I had to go to the dentist, and I had to go urgently because I was fine. I was a little overdue.
You could have gone to the awesome dentist I found. Dentists seems to be easier to find than doctors.
Yeah, they do. So I was overdue getting a cleaning. It'd been a little over a year, which...
that's his problem.
Well, the thing is, actually, if your teeth are in good health, you only have to go every year.
Right, sure. But you know what? The insurance pays for me to go every 6 months, so why the fuck not?
But I had switched dentists a bunch of times, and my teeth were fine. I have zero tooth complaints. And then suddenly, a few days ago, my jaw started hurting real bad. Way in the back here. And
it's all that skiing.
So, of course, I Google, and I'm like, jaw pain. And, of course, it's
TMJ,
jaw cancer.
Jaw cancer.
It's jaw cancer. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to assume that's not true. And then it's dental abscess. And I'm like, is it possible that I have one of because a lot of tooth problems are painless until they're bad.
It's
like
true.
a lot of people don't realize that. Like cavities, if they start to hurt, they're already really bad.
It's like root canal territory.
Yeah, like that. Like dental stuff will basically not hurt, and you'll feel fine. And
Because
then
teeth
you're
are
fucked.
bones, or they're not. Unless it gets down to the nerve, you don't feel. Right?
Yep, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So I'm like, is it possible that I have like a hidden dental abscess? So I'm like fucking around in my mouth with a flashlight and there's nothing. Like I can find not even no swelling, nothing. There's
It's
nothing.
not like pus coming out of your mouth.
Nope. And of course, I made the fucking mistake of looking online for pictures of what a dental abscess looks
Nope,
like.
don't do that.
Holy shit. Also, fun fact, Googling.
If your mouth didn't make you want to vomit, you're probably okay.
Yeah, also in general, Googling for dental stuff, what I found was that, because I was worried, like, my gums aren't 100% great, and I got a few dental problems because I'm in my 30s and I had braces as a kid, but yeah, looking online tells me that I take better care of my teeth than almost every American, by far.
You're basically looking only at the horror pictures and then assuming everyone's like that.
No, so I was looking at dental sites that are like, do you have gingivitis? This is what gingivitis looks like. And I'm like, whoa, holy shit, my teeth are way better than that. But, so I don't have anything. So I'm wondering, like, what the hell could it be? And I read up all the stuff on, like, TMJ, mandibular issues. And
your mandibles.
yeah, because it's in the mandible area. And all the websites pretty much said, it's cancer. It's a hidden abscess. It's like cellulitis or like bone infection.
Or it's random pain from being an old person.
Actually, no, nothing said that.
Well, that's
And
what
they all said,
usually
go to
what
a
it
doctor
is.
immediately. Holy shit.
Yeah, sure.
So I tried to find a dentist. And I looked up, and according to a bunch of websites, I found what might be the best dentist in New York.
My dentist is real good. I don't know how much better it could be.
Who takes my insurance.
Unless they're like giving blowjobs in the waiting room. I mean, what is it?
But so I went in and I was like, so I need an appointment. Now, usually I was like, so I expected for a new patient, it'd be like a week or two. And they were like, you want to come in right now? And I was like, what do you mean right now? And they're like, can you get here in the next hour? And I was like, actually, no. And they were like, pick your time. And I showed up on time. They took me in on time. 0 delay. They did the thing like immediately. All modern technology. So long story short, my teeth are fine. And the dentist was like, I don't know, on your jaw. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. So maybe it's just oldening. Come back to me if it still hurts in like a month. He even did an x-ray and he's like, yeah, there's nothing back there. So, but if you go to a new dentist and they do an x-ray and they use film, don't go to that dentist anymore. They got
Why
old
would
shit.
you? What dentist still uses film?
Most dentists in New York.
What the fuck? I haven't seen a dentist with film in like.
My previous dentist used film for the x-rays, but they didn't use the big old like plate film. They used they put the film on the thing in your mouth and then they put the gun up to your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, even so, the thing with film, right? And I know this because my uncle's a dentist.
Yep.
And he told me this when he got his like, because I went to him right when I was like a long time in my life. He got like digital like X-rays like a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, look, when you use the film X-ray machine and you turn the X-ray machine on, you got to turn it on like bzzz. But if you use the digital one,
It's like boop.
It's like bzzz. It's like the exposure time due to the the ISO of the I guess sensor, the
Yep.
X-ray sensor versus the ISO, the X-ray ISO of the X-ray film, right? Is way drastic, right? So you have a lot less X-rays hitting your teeth and your face.
Yep, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But most dentists have a lot of old busted crap. So the fact that they had modern x-ray machines, and actually the machine was way tiny, like way tinier than I expected. And had
Yeah, the dentist I go to, the machine's actually in the closet. Like you can't even, it's like
Yep.
hidden.
they had modern like ultrasonic cleaning instead of the old cleaning methods. And everything was just great. And then at the end, he was asking me about, he was like, yeah, your teeth are fine. You take great care of them. He's like, you floss at least once a day. And I was like, actually, I floss twice a day. And he was like, I normally
too
wouldn't.
much.
He's like, actually, he was like, that's actually what I recommend. And no one has ever said that they did it twice a day where I've believed them.
Yeah.
He was basically telling me how generally the more someone talks about how often they floss, the more likely it is they're lying at the
That
dentist.
is true.
And he's like, I can tell. I can see your teeth.
That's
right
like,
now.
I clean my bathroom 5 times a day. Go
There's
in the
pee on the
bathroom.
floor. I can see it. It's like, I floss every day. And he's like, I looked at your gums and they started bleeding. But yeah, so I got a new dentist, and while I'm there, he was looking up because I have 2 teeth that were kind of like chipped. Like the top of the tooth where it goes into the gum was like cracked off, like old injuries.
Whoa.
Like, it's fine. That's just something that happens, and like the only danger with that is that there's
abscess.
less. No, actually, the danger is there's less distance before if you got a cavity there, it'd get all the way in. And brushing your teeth does abrade your teeth away a little bit. So theoretically, you'll braid through the tooth and eventually have problems. So he was like, "You want me to just bond him?" And I was like, "I guess I can make an appointment." He's like, "No, let's do it right now. It'll take like 10 minutes."
What does bonding do?
Bonding is just it's a filling, but instead of drilling and going in, they just put filling stuff on the outside to cover up like the busted bit.
No.
And
Isn't that usually called a sealant?
Sealant's a little bit different. This is a bond.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really, right now? And he was like, yeah. And I haven't gotten a bonding in like
He's
10 years.
He's just looking to get some monies, right? The more procedures he does, the more the insurance got to pay.
So he charged me like actually a really low rate for the bonding, and he did a really good job on the bonding. Like it worked great.
Well, he's not gonna do a bad job. He wants you to come back so he get more money from you.
Not maybe, but the final thing is I learned something that I didn't know because I have that old HSA. Like from my old pre-Obamacare stuff.
You can still use that money.
Yeah. Back then when I was getting it for free, I was saving it, one, for retirement, because that's a loophole. You can use that shit to retire, and you can invest it, and there's all this tax stuff. It's great. But 2, I was going to use it if I ever had like a serious medical thing that happened to me, like beyond my insurance. But I didn't know you could also use it for dental stuff.
You can use it for anything. You can use it to just buy Tylenol at Dwayne Reed.
Actually, no.
Yeah, you can.
That's dodgy.
You use the HSA debit card. Dwayne, just boop.
Are you HSA or FSA?
Oh, FSA, yeah. The FSA we have at our work, you can use for that too.
You can to a degree, but FSA's got really clamped down on about 2 years ago, so some stuff has changed.
Well, the FSA at our work, they specifically said you can use it for things at Dwayne Reed.
Have you used it for those things?
I don't put any money in the FSA.
Oh. You should put like $10 in it and get like the one drug you'll ever need.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I can buy Mucinex once a year. I don't need that to be tax-free. It's a lot of effort to save $5. Right?
So because I have all this HSA money, you know how people who are rich have those perfect teeth that you get if you basically get rich person teeth?
They're fake teeth.
Yeah, they're not 100% fake.
I mean, yeah, but I mean...
But they basically shape your teeth and gums to be 100% on the movie set perfect.
Right.
I basically have enough money in there to get that if I wanted to.
Why would you want that?
When I'm 50 and my teeth are not great anymore because I'm 50.
Let's get some dentures.
I don't want dentures. Dentures suck.
What?
Dentures are the worst.
It's like fake teeth is the greatest. You don't have to worry about cavities. You just chew anything.
Just get the movie star teeth. They're just as good, and you don't have to take them out at night.
I don't know. I don't want any kind of implant action. Sometimes that's necessary.
You only need the implants if you're getting movie star teeth to replace broken teeth.
Hey, listen, don't play ice hockey.
So yeah, if you can't tell, I was just trying to kill a bunch of time because we didn't. I
don't even have any news. So we
don't have any news. So I got some news.
There's nothing happening.
It's politics.
No,
but it doesn't involve Trump or any of the stuff that Scott would get super mad about. It's the kind of like political science politics that is at least more relevant to real world and more long-standing and not so ephemeral. So. Scott, you know about what's going on with the Supreme Court right now, right?
Someone died, and they got to pick someone new.
So do you know what's going on now? Like, why would I talk about this? Because shouldn't it already be taken care of? He died a while ago.
Because, I mean, it takes as long as it takes, right? The president can pretty much wait as long as they want to appoint someone or never appoint someone or appoint a bunch of people. You can, if you're president, you can just appoint people whenever the fuck you want. FDR did it. FDR was just like, I'm going to appoint 100 people, right? And then... once you appoint someone, the Senate has to approve your appointment, and they can take however the fuck long they want, and they can deny, or they can say yes, they can say no, they can do whatever. So
that is true.
It takes as long as it takes.
However, in practice, that basically never happens.
Yeah, historically, the president usually doesn't appoint a bunch of people if they're not FDR. They appoint people only when someone dies.
And Congress might
not
approve them.
And usually when they appoint someone, Congress moves that to the top of the to-do list, and they vote yes or no.
Now, they might vote no and make them send a few people.
Right, the vast majority of the time, they vote yes. It's pretty rare that they vote no, because usually, the president takes pretty long time and pick someone who's not like way obviously going to get no'd. They want to pick someone who's going to get a yes, because the sooner they get in there, you know, they'd rather have someone who's more moderate and acceptable get in and handle some cases and vote the way that they want earlier.
There's a little more
rather
to it
than
than
have
that,
the
though.
tied court while they're waiting to get like some extreme person like on the left or right that's not going to get in anyway, right?
There's a little more nuance to it, though, because the Supreme Court has such prestige with the American people. I mean, it has more prestige than any other part of the government, basically.
It's the least hated part of the government.
Though, actually, that is turned around just recently. The Supreme Court has a surprisingly high unfavorability right now. You want to know why?
It's not more unfavorable than Congress.
No, nothing is more. Congress is less popular.
I mean, look, no part of the government is popular, right? But I'm sure the Supreme Court is more popular than like the DMV, right?
No, but yeah, Congress right now, I think, is less popular than Cat Piss Man.
I think, well,
Well, not for Congress. Congress is less popular than Cat Piss Man.
sure.
So, because Cat Piss Man's definition is 80% of your friends hate him, and more than 80% of Americans hate Congress. But so, traditionally, they move the process along and they give it the proper level of respect and decorum. Like, if they're not going to approve someone,
They just say
they'll
no.
they'll go through the motions. They'll then do the formal vote.
I don't think they even do the formal. A lot of times, like the president just does enough research in advance and consults with them in advance, right? And they're like, yeah. That person's going to get the no. Don't even send them
Now,
over
that doesn't
here.
always work out. I mean, I remember, and I assume...
Well, you might do some posturing for some other reasons and send someone over you know is going to get a no so that you can get a bill you want through instead.
That actually pretty much never happened either. So the notable exception of one of the strange ones, this is something that I don't think any of you listeners will remember, because you have to be at least as old as us, but the whole Robert Bork thing, that was the
I know
first...
that name.
Do you know anything about Bork?
He was appointed to the Supreme Court and didn't make it.
Basically, yeah. Do you know the whole...
That's the extent of my knowledge.
That is the earliest political memories I have, is someone talking about Bork and it being referenced by Bloom County, and that's how I started learning about politics. At a very
I know a
young
lot more
age.
about Ray Bork, the hockey player.
But do you know why I'm bringing this up now? Really? Like, do you know what's going on in the Supreme Court? Have you paid attention at all?
No, I don't give a fuck.
Really? So
Really? Oh, shocking.
No, so this is a big deal because it actually foretells a possible long-term constitutional problem. What happened was Scalia died,
Yeah.
and Obama, has to nominate someone to replace.
He doesn't have to, but he did.
Well, he only did a little while ago.
Sure, but he doesn't have to.
Yeah,
He has the power to appoint
Decorum-
people whenever he wants.
decorum and precedent says he has to.
Wait, you were saying it was a constitutional issue.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So before anyone said anything, before Obama even said, "Oh my God, Scalia's dead," the entire Republican Party came out and said, "We will make sure that no one, under any circumstances, gets even talked about. No hearings, nothing. We will refuse to let Obama appoint anyone because he's in the last term of his presidency and the voters should get to pick."
Well, I mean, the reason is stupid, but they can just vote no all they want. They can do
No,
that.
they're not going to vote no. They're just not going to have a hearing.
They don't have to do that either.
Yeah, they don't have to technically. It's a glaring fault in the Constitution that has basically never been invoked. It's like a broken rule in a game where everyone, even people who are playing to win, mutually agreed, let's follow that rule because otherwise the game sucks. Like in Hive.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way the Constitution is written, it says the president has the power to appoint people, and the Senate has the power to say yes or no. So it doesn't say you have to appoint people. It doesn't
Actually,
say
all
how
it
many.
says-
It doesn't say when.
Yeah.
It doesn't say under what circumstances.
Yeah, but
So
other
they
than-
can do what they want.
other than basically like Civil War bullshit, something like this has never happened before.
Well, I mean, nobody had spent more than 2 terms in office until FDR, and then they made a rule about it, right?
Yeah, but I'm
It's the
saying
same
this-
kind of deal.
No, so the deal is different here because
They didn't
the Supreme
listen.
Court...
There wasn't a lot of playtesting done on the Constitution, right?
Well, there was. There was. You remember the beta? It was the Articles of Confederation.
No, that was a different game. They realized that game wasn't
It
fun.
was the alpha.
Right, they played it. They said, "Man, this Quake sucks. Let's play Counter Strike."
Yeah.
All right.
There
But
was the time when they forked it. There was the South and the North,
right,
but the
you know,
South was just the North plus slavery and a bunch of typos.
see, we're now at a point where it's like we'd really like to go to like Counter Strike Go, but we got a whole country full of CS 1.6 purists, and it's never gonna happen.
But here's the deal:
No one's going to
even-
play StarCraft 2. StarCraft 1 is going to remain the competitive esport.
Other
for
than
RTS games.
when the country was literally about to go to war with itself, the partisan politics has never gotten to that level with the Supreme Court. Ever. Until now. And basically the Republicans said, we won't let Obama appoint anyone because it's in the end of his term. And the interesting hypocrisy
the because
is that,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Why even say because? You're just saying that because, which is a really stupid because.
Scott, so you know why there's a because? You ever heard of the Thurman rule?
I know who Strom Thurmond is.
So the way our Congress actually works, and this, these are things that aren't in the Constitution.
Yeah,
but
the hidden rules that Congress makes for itself.
that actually matter a lot. Those rules matter a lot.
Those are the most important rules. Congress just makes its own rules. They have rules committee.
Yeah,
that makes
so
the rules.
Congress has a rule about that, basically
You
saying
have to have a reason.
don't appoint anyone in the last N months of their term. Wait for the next person to come in.
Okay.
But Scalia died so early that we would have an 8-person Supreme Court for well over a year, way beyond the bounds of the Thurman rule. It's also interesting that the Republicans who all are spearheading this don't let anyone get in no matter what. Every one of them, basically, last time there was any sort of court stuff, were vocal on video, on record, very adamantly saying that you have to let people appoint even at the end of their terms because that's what the Constitution says.
I mean, this is not. I mean, why? See, you're acting like you're so. It's like this is Daily Show every day, where someone says a thing and then later they say a different thing.
No, that's not what I'm acting about.
They're self-serving. They don't actually care about political reasons for things. They care about just their own agenda.
So
this is not news. This is just 100 years. Why do you give a fuck?
Decorum and
You're
precedent.
saying this like, oh my God, somebody doesn't actually care about political principle, and they just want to do what they want to do, and will use any
Scott,
reason
that's
that
not my
suits
story.
them
That's just
in the moment. Oh
that's-
my God.
That's just an interesting
Oh
side
my
note.
God.
Because
it's not interesting at all.
I think it is.
It's every day.
No,
that
you
you might
just
as well
don't
be
know
saying,
anything
"Oh my
about
God,
politics."
there's water coming out of this cloud."
But Scott,
oh
this
my
hasn't
God.
really happened before.
Who gives a fuck?
So, the problem is that because they said this, now they're worried that the next president will be either Hillary or Trump, and they don't want either one of those people to appoint to the Supreme Court either.
Someone's going to appoint. You can just vote no.
No, they're never going to vote again. That's what's happening. Basically,
You don't have to do that either.
they said they won't
don't-
let any hearings happen
So don't.
until a Republican is in office, effectively. So,
Well, if you lose the control of the Congress, then that won't happen
which they're
anymore.
not likely to for 20 or 30 years. So it is entirely possible, unless the Republican Party literally splits in two, that we will, in the next 4 to 8 to 12 years, have a 7-person and then possibly a 6-person Supreme Court. And we will literally never appoint someone to the court again unless either we change the Constitution or the rules to force them to have votes, or the Congress gets controlled entirely by one party that also has the presidency.
That's fine.
That's an entirely new and very destabilizing element of American politics
How
that has
so?
never happened before other than during the Civil War.
I don't really see the problem.
All right, I guess you just don't know anything about politics.
Who cares? I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, and it doesn't matter. So, who
So you don't
cares?
find any of this interesting? You don't care about school? You didn't learn anything about social studies?
I mean, it's not interesting.
It's not interesting
It's not
at all?
surprising or new in any way.
It actually is surprising. No one really expected this to happen. It's basically never happened.
Okay, not surprised.
Okay, probably just because you don't know anything about the Supreme Court.
I know about Congress.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, things of the day.
My thing of the day is excellent. Much better than anything you've said so far.
All
In
right.
fact, if you listen to this episode of GeekNights, you can just fast forward to this thing of the day, and right after this thing of the day is
Except
over,
they won't hear your advice until they've already listened to that
that's
thing.
a big mistake. So, and then immediately after this thing of the day is done, Rim's thing of the day is probably crappy.
'Cause remember,
you
not
can just stop
everyone-
listening to this episode.
Not everyone can live the purely hedonistic lifestyle that Scott does. The life
Oh
of
yes, I'm so
laundry.
hedonistic. These drugs I'm taking, and these grapes.
Who says drugs have anything to do with hedonism?
Oh, these grapes I'm eating, and then this chase that I'm laying on.
Hedonism and laundry.
So, if you're in the Russian military, or if you're in any military, right, and you do something bad, usually they punish you, right? It could be some push-ups, Or maybe Beetle Bailey style, peeling some taters.
I figured they just hang you or like send you to Siberia.
There are militaries where that happens.
Yeah.
Right? It might be like labor, it might be jail, right? A lot of punishments are doled out in militaries, right? Even killing you, even if you're by your own military. But if you're in the Russian military, they have sense of humor, huh? Comrade. So in Russian military, right? Punishment get you.
That's it. Punishments always get you. That's how punishments work.
I know. So they're very creative, as you would imagine. If you were to say, I don't know, forget to bring your gun where you're supposed to bring it, they punish you by giving you a replacement gun that you have to carry.
Ooh, it's going to be one of those, like, the devil ironic punishments?
It's a punishment that fits the crime, and that punishment tends to be carry a big, heavy wooden thing around with you everywhere.
These
like
photos are amazing.
this guy who was looking at his phone when he was supposed to be military-ing and doing something serious was made to carry around a giant, heavy wooden phone everywhere with him.
I like the guy huffing around the gigantic, heavy wooden cigarette.
Yeah. So check this out, and don't join the Russian military. And if you do, don't misbehave. If you join any military of your own free will, or in fact, if you're forced into military, if you're conscripted at any point in your life into anything, whether you like it or not, I highly suggest following all orders. Like if I'm just like,
oh yeah, you're in the Nazi German army and you get ordered to do, genocide, just follow the orders.
I'm just saying, don't look at your
just
phone.
saying.
If you're on the Navy boat with Horatio, don't do anything that's going to get you any lashes, all right?
So we have had several things today in the past of like Richard Feynman doing something great because he's just one of the greatest people to have ever lived.
He had problems,
but
he knew a lot about physics.
Yeah, but all the times we've ever had a Richard Feynman thing on the show, it's always been like a thing he did. Like that is the entertaining thing of the day.
Well, it's usually, usually it's a video of him explaining something, like the one where he talks about like,
my favorite one is the one where he talks about magnets because the guy's like, so when I push two magnets,
I think I saw one where he talked about fire. I don't remember.
The magnet one is good because I remember he was like, because there's always the quote unquote idiot who's asking him the questions. And the guy's like, so when I push two magnets against each other, like you feel something there, like it's repelling. And Feynman's like, that's really a stupid question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's one of my favorite videos of him ever. But this is not a video of Feynman doing Feynman. This is a video talking about Feynman and like actually is sort of a really short biography of why he was the way he was and who he was. And
you can just read, there's a comic about this you can read.
Yeah, but if you've enjoyed like the Feynman-y things
I'm
that
sure
Feynman
this
has
biography
done,
is available.
This is a very short and succinct 10-minute video explaining the why of Richard Feynman.
Not as good as my thing of the day.
I think this is pretty good. It goes into great lengths about how many how he kept getting arrested for pranking people during the Manhattan Project.
Why wouldn't you?
All the strip club bongo stuff while he was doing physics.
I said he wasn't the greatest person.
It was a different time, you understand.
No, it wasn't.
Basically, what's funny is that the word best used to describe him in this video is that while he was brilliant, he was very annoying.
You don't say.
In the meta moment, I don't know if I'll peter out on the wheel of time, but I'm pushing into book 12. So
isn't that like the last book?
No, there's like 14 books.
Oh, wow, you're real close. You can just tell me everything.
They're not hard reads.
No, they're not. Anime Boston's way soon.
Anime Boston is not this weekend, but next weekend, and we're doing 5 panels and lectures. Friday and Saturday only, and I'm probably going to leave early on Sunday and not actually go to the con. Anime Boston's being weird, and they're making us buy badges this year.
Oh, do I have to actually do that?
Yeah, before the 20th.
So I have to go to the Anime Boston website and buy a badge?
This is the first time I have bought a badge to a fan convention.
I better get my fucking money back.
Yeah, in like...
When do I get the money back?
I don't know, whenever they mail us a check after the con.
Screw you and your... I'm not giving my money to the charity this time, right?
Yeah, I'm taking my money, because you're taking my money. This is literally the first time since like 2002 I've gone to a website for a fan convention and pre-registered. Like, that's not something
What if it's sold out? I can't be panelist?
Well, then I'm going to email them and be like, hey, guys. So, yeah, if you really want us to be at Anime Boston after this year, you should probably let Anime Boston know. Because we're going. We were doing 5 panels. But if they make us buy badges and get reimbursed, we're not going back after this year. So this will be our last Anime Boston.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Right after Anime Boston, the next weekend in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a convention that is not making us buy badges, ZenkaiCon.
I think the chances of me going to that are pretty low.
Oh, you're bailing on ZenkaiCon now?
I mean, it's a pain in the ass.
It's good, Scott, if you go, it'll be you, me, Chris, and Anthony sharing a hotel playing board games the entire time.
Why don't we just not go and play board games in New York?
Because I got to do some panels. Also, it's like close-up magic. Is ZenkaiCon we get a lot of fans out of.
And I got to take a stupid train to Lancaster, ruin my whole weekend. It's a good weekend I'm losing. I can go to the
weather's not
Mocha.
going to be great yet.
I don't care about the good weather. I'm just saying I'm losing the whole weekend.
You can go or not go. I can do all those panels on my own.
It's
fine.
really not worth the effort to go there.
Will you go next year if we do end up bailing on Anime Boston forevermore?
Is it going to be in a much easier place to get to?
No, Lancaster's easier to get to than Boston. The Amtrak's cheaper. And the Amtrak goes directly to the convention. It's not like you have to then take a $50 cab or some nonsense.
It's really not a pleasant trip.
Also, you can eat Amish food for one day, and then there's nothing to eat on Sunday.
Yeah, that's another good reason not to go there.
We'll be doing a whole bunch of panels. At least I'll be doing a whole bunch of panels. And one of the panels...
Why do you want me to go there so bad?
You don't have to. I'm just saying, fourth player for board games.
I don't need to go there.
One of the panels will
How
involve...
about you don't go there? How about you just don't?
You want me to bail on a convention that we are listed guests at? I think that'll go over real well.
You made a mistake. You already went in.
Plus, one of the panels is going to be Rim and Scott, even if Scott doesn't go. It's going to be me and Scott Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How you like them apples?
I don't care.
Shortly after that is PAX East in Boston, where we'll be doing Atari game design, one of our best recent lectures. Also, our video, one of the many panels we did, actually two now, from PAX South are on YouTube. The Scary Games panel is up, and the Designing Game Rules panel is up. And the Design Game Rules panel is one of our better lectures.
Why did they let us do that one at PAX East instead of Atari or whatever?
I'm pretty sure it's because the Atari one was a bigger draw.
I don't know about that.
So they both, at PAX South, they both filled the room.
At PAX South, everything fills the room.
No. The panel, both before and after us, at every one of our slots, far from filled the room.
I feel like the panel we went into before us was filling the room.
No, it wasn't. I was talking to some people. A lot of those our panels filled, and not all the panels filled by far.
Okay, that's good, I guess.
Yeah, we're actually kind of.
Tell me how many rooms you fill at ZenkaiCon.
The only time I didn't fill a room at ZenkaiCon was either going at a weird time, or one time they put me in main events. I'm not going to fill main events at any con. I guess DerpyCon, because their main event seats like 6 people. But
isn't that the whole?
But where was I going with that? Right. So Designing Game Rules filled the room, but Atari Game Design filled the room way before the panel was going to start.
I mean, they're judging based on that. You should judge based on the quality of the panel, not based on the material.
Yeah, but remember, people go to panels based on one thing. Well, two things. The title and what time it's at.
Yep.
If it's at 4 o'clock on a Saturday and it's called like...
And what else is at the same time as it?
Yeah. And the panel's called like, hey, free video cards, fucking come here. Then...
Why do we give away some video cards?
You want to give away... We could do a whole panel that's just why you shouldn't give shit away at your panel, and then we'll give away like a GeekNights 980.
No. Let's go on eBay.
Oh.
Let's buy a whole bunch of old video cards.
Like Creative Graphics Blaster Extreme AGP
cards.
I mean,
we got to get ones that, like, those ones are probably actually more money. We want to get, like, these in-between ones, right? Like, ones like GTX
460.
Yeah, something like, right? Like, no one in the world wants that because it's completely useless. Get a bunch of them. Be like, video cards for free at this panel. Be like, we're not lying. Here's video cards. Video cards. Right? And be like, you came for swag. Well, this is what you get. Greedy people. Teach you a lesson. Now you got to take this useless shit home.
Then you got to do a whole actual lecture telling them all the reasons why what they're doing is bad. They should feel bad.
They think we're dispensing video cards when we're really dispensing shame.
Everyone, you will find a video card taped to the bottom of your chair. And we'll probably be at PAX Prime, and then the next PAX South.
And we're definitely going to be at PAX Prime.
I will very likely be at PAX Australia, so stay tuned.
I might go to Europe instead.
I'll do both. I'm going to Hong Kong. I was just in Europe. I was going to go to Europe again kind of soon, so.
I'll go to Essen, maybe.
Maybe we should go to Essen sometime.
I think it's at the same time. I think you have to choose between that and PAX South. They're both in October.
The problem is Essen would just be fun.
Even if they're not in the same exact time in October, they're pretty close, right? So that'd be difficult.
That's a conundrum because Essen would be fun to go to, like just objectively. But PAX South is a very fruitful convention for us as performers.
You mean Australia?
And entertainers. PAX Australia is also fruitful because, yeah, you think our panels fill at PAX South or PAX East? Our panels fucking fill at PAX Australia.
Australia, the country, is desperate for nerdery.
Yeah, I mean, remember when I first started the Patreon?
That's what you get for living far away from everything. The thing is, when I went there, I thought there would be so much better nerdery because they're so close to Japan, which is the fountain of nerdery. But no, Japan's still pretty far away from Australia.
I started researching to start our Patreon literally because when I said that we probably wouldn't go to the last PAX Australia, meaning skipping our first PAX ever as GeekNights, more than a dozen people, like 14 or 15 people, independently reached out to me and were like, so how much would it take? Like, what if we donate money? Like, what if we do a collection?
Sure. I mean,
like, yeah, if you guys really want to fly
don't
to
give
Australia,
money to don't give money to the Patreon, but if you want to give me $1,400 to buy a plane ticket to Australia, that's
Scott,
okay.
At the current Patreon levels, we could just use that to fund a trip to Australia for PAX. We just have to.
You're making $1,400 a year?
By then? Yeah, we're making like $250 a month.
250 times 12 is
yeah.
All right. Buy me a plane ticket to Australia.
As soon as we use the Patreon money for something, then we're obligated to make, like, you know how we did those videos and we're going to spend the whole con making videos.
Why? I can't just buy a plane ticket to Australia and go to the Coral Reef?
I don't think that's what the patrons expect.
They gave their money. That's not their money anymore. I told them they're stupid. They don't listen.
We could do a show live underwater.
If they're
at
upset,
the Coral Reef.
I'm going to say I told you so. It's like, come on.
So, preparation.
Yeah. So we didn't have a show idea for today, but I know
No, the worst thing is we came up with a bunch of show ideas, but they all required at least 15 minutes worth of research.
That's every show idea. But anyway, so I realized, lately, there's those certain things that you notice more lately, right?
So you
learn a new word. I forget the name for this thing is, but you learn a new word.
You see a bear shit in the woods,
then
it's bears everywhere.
Exactly. So lately, I've noticed a lot more preppers, or at least prepper attitudes. People saying like, "Oh man, gotta have your grab bag, your go bag in case something happens." Or
I don't think it is more common now.
More talk, No, I'm just saying. And lately, I've noticed more talk of things like shelters or survivalist attitudes.
I will say I've noticed less.
People saying they would move away from the city so that they could survive at some disaster.
I think that peaked in terms of me running into it in the early 2000s, like 2002, 2003.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's peaked. I'm saying I'm noticing it more lately than I did a little while ago. It's increasing right now in my perspective of anecdotal living.
Now, on the side, fun fact, my mom basically bought a house that was kind of built and owned by preppers like that.
But your mom is not a prepper.
No, but she has a prepper compound, basically.
I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's like these people.
She has a well when Arizona is a dried desert husk with no people living in it.
You mean
my mom's well?
Wait. Isn't that what Arizona is?
It's a dried husk, but there's still people in it.
Sure, but
when there's no people because all the water's gone, my mom's well will probably still be
there's
productive.
no water there.
There is if you dig deep enough.
There's really water under there?
Yeah. The well on this property is ridiculous. Like, ridiculous how much of a well they put on. This is the kind of well you would put on a secret government facility that needed to survive the atomic bomb.
But I mean, I don't understand how there's water under there. If I go to the Sahara Desert, I mean, sure, there are spots where you can dig and there'll be water, but
Scott,
not every spot.
How deep do you think a well is? Now you're already thinking...
You got to go basically under the bedrock to where the water table is.
The water table's under the bedrock?
I'm pretty sure it is.
You know about as much about hydrology as you do about the Supreme Court, it sounds like.
I know much about hydrology or geology, but you got to dig through rocks. It's not just like under the dirt.
So my mom deals with...
It's not dirt, water, rocks. It's dirt, rocks, water, rocks.
My mom lives in a place... where the people around, like I'll give you an example. If you go to the feed store, because she has to pick up feed for like the horses and everything, the people there...
She doesn't grow it?
It's the desert.
Oh, right.
You could grow it in other parts of Arizona.
But not that well? You can't irrigate with that well?
I guess you could, but you don't want to dry the well out.
Irrigate some sand?
Anyway, there are like people at the feed store literally think that Obama is going to get a third term and literally come with European troops and literally take their guns.
Well, I mean, that's a person who lives in the desert.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Those people. So my mom lives in a place where there's a lot of preppers.
I mean, I would give more credit to the scorpion living in the desert and the Gila monster
Scorpio.
than to the person
Hank
living
Scorpio.
Right? Like a Gila monster, the desert is a native environment. A person living in the desert is dumb.
People went into environments that weren't native to them and then just bent them to their will with technology.
Yes, that's adventuring. It's also dumb.
Adventuring's amazing.
Live in a comfortable place.
So, here's the extent of what I have prepared for. I'll start with that, like what we've each prepared for. Because
I've prepared for problems money can solve by getting money.
Yeah, but that's easy. Like I can't. So, but how do you? So, like when I travel,
Get money. Don't use it all.
Well, here's a very specific example. So I travel to a lot of foreign countries very often, and I've traveled to places that are not the safest places pretty often. And I might actually.
Are we talking Somalia unsafe, or are we talking like New York City unsafe?
I'm talking like Istanbul current situation unsafe.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you stay in the city, it's mostly okay. Just don't
Actually,
go to
not
weird...
anymore. That's the problem.
You're worried about like protests getting tangled
No,
up?
there was a terror attack in Istanbul not that long ago.
Oh, I mean that's anywhere, right?
No,
I mean,
but it was
there a terror
targeting-
attack in New York not long ago.
No, I'm talking like very recently. Also, there hadn't been attacks like that before, yet there are attacks in other parts of Turkey all the time. And
I mean, there were terror attacks in Paris, right?
the attack specifically targeted foreigners like me, attacking the kind of place I would be. Like that's like, I'm not saying I'm a coward. Like I'll still go to Istanbul again probably soon, but I will not go hang out in the kinds of places.
There was a much worse attack in Paris. Would you go there? Yeah, why not?
Actually, that attack was real near where I stay. So
Sure. It's like,
But when I travel to those places, I do a few things. If I'm not in my hotel room, I always have my passport with me.
Yeah,
no
well,
matter what.
Yeah, well, if someone stops you and is like, papers, please.
Most places aren't like that, actually. And actually, if someone says papers, please, they don't fucking get my passport.
Obviously, but what if you need to like run to the consulate or something? In your passport's in your hotel room. That's not a good situation.
That would actually usually be fine because if you get to the consulate, they can issue you an emergency passport to get you the hell out if you need to.
But it's much easier if you just have one.
I keep my passport with me just because I want to be able to, if something goes wrong, leave the country normally without having to go back to my hotel.
Yeah, also,
Like, I don't want to have to go to the consulate.
if someone finds your dead body, they'll know who you were.
No, I'm pretty sure American passports are valuable enough they just take it.
If they even were thinking about that, maybe they're just thinking about murdering you.
I don't think anyone thinks, hey, let's just murder that guy. Why?
I don't think anyone thinks, let's make a terror attack and then steal all the Americans' passports. They
No,
think,
but
let's
like,
make a terror attack and get on the news.
If it's a random mugging, they're going to take my passport, I suspect.
Yes, they will.
But in the hotel room, you know that safe that no one uses? I use that safe. You know, I put in that safe.
If I'm in a country like that, I use that safe.
No, I do that in pretty much anywhere I travel.
I don't
outside
use
the
it
United
going to
States.
PAX.
What I put in, well, sometimes I do in packs, but usually instead of putting in the safe, I just put what I'm about to tell you I put in the safe, just in the room somewhere. I put my backup credit card. I put like $50 and one of my IDs, like a driver's license or something.
I would put anything valuable electronically that I wasn't going to bring around with me. Like my camera, I'm probably carrying, but like if I wasn't carrying every lens with me, even if I wouldn't even bring them to a country like that probably, because you only need to bring a few. Travel photography, you usually don't bring a lot of lenses, right?
Yep.
But like laptop, iPad, I'm not carrying around all day. That's going in the safe.
See, no. So that's I think that's orthogonal to our point because that's just like avoid theft. I'm talking about like preparation.
None of this is talking about the prepper type people who are worried about like the flood or any nuclear weapon.
Like, I'll make it relevant that we can go back to the nuclear war nonsense.
Okay.
But I basically do when I travel put a cache of ID, credit card, and some cash separate from my regular supply of credit card, ID, and cash. So say like someone steals my bag that has my passport and my wallet in it. Well, as long as I can somehow get back to my hotel room.
What if you don't have the keys to your hotel room
I
because
could
they stole those?
I'm pretty sure I would be able to talk to the front desk.
Without an ID? They'll give you keys to a room?
I could probably make that happen.
It's not too hard, but that's tough.
I could make that happen.
Yeah.
But also, actually,
it is a pain in the ass.
My hotel key, I always put in a pocket separate from all my other stuff.
Obviously.
But I have enough stuff to be able to afford to like take a cab to the airport, enough ID to at least convince them who I am, like all that stuff. So in my real life, like outside of travel, The amount of preparation I do is if there's a huge storm coming, I don't buy anything different at all, but I do fill the tub with water if it's like a hurricane. That's it. That's all I do.
If the storm is coming,
And I only do that, so one, emergency, I guess I give the rabbits water, but two, so I can flush the toilet if water pressure goes away for a few days.
if the storm is coming, I close the windows. And if there's there was a travel ban, I think in the winter this year.
I just stay home,
Right, I stay obviously,
but I don't do anything.
I couldn't get delivery with the travel ban, so I made
Yeah,
sure.
you could actually. The Grubhub was working fine during the travel ban.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not. I was not able to Grubhub.
Delivery guys were biking, walking. There were
I
pictures on Gothamist.
I kept looking out the window to see if there was any, and there weren't. So
Scott, there were pictures on Gothamist of delivery men literally wearing snowshoes.
well, I wish I would have known that.
Now,
but
granted,
basically, my preparation was
I would have given like a $20 tip if someone delivered some pizza to me during
I
that.
bought a box of macaroni and cheese, so I would have something to eat, and
But if like say civilization, like civil order broke down, there's only like a week's worth of food in my apartment. Like I don't have enough food.
I usually only have like 2 days of food.
Well, when I say a week's worth, I mean like there's pasta we haven't eaten that I guess we could cook.
Yeah, okay, plain pasta, that'll be delicious.
Yeah, but it's food.
I guess I have frozen food. I can make a lot of banana breads.
I've got a bunch of rice. I got enough rice to keep me going for maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah, I got plenty of rice. I could rice it up.
But my philosophy in terms of
I buy rice in bulk,
preparation
actually, on Amazon.
is that I live in New York. Any disaster that is big enough such that by the power of walking alone, I cannot, within 24 hours, get to a place where civil order still remains, I was fucked anyway, and there's literally nothing I could have ever done to help myself.
Yeah, you could have not lived in New York, which preppers do. That's the first thing
Yeah.
they do is they move and live in the middle of nowhere because they think that society collapses if there's riots or if there's nuclear
But if you
war
live in the middle of
or
nowhere,
if there's fires or floods. They will be far away from all that stuff, and there's farms near them.
But
and
I've spent
the
time-
town that they live in can be a self-sustaining human, nurturing place,
I've
even if
lived-
all other society is destroyed.
I've lived or spent time or had family members who do live in very remote areas. You know what?
with their ridiculously deep well.
If you're not a prepper, you still need to do a lot of preparation because, like in New York, a mundane disaster, like the power goes out, I can just deal with it. Stuff happens.
They got generators. They're good.
Say the water supply stops. Like, say my building's water breaks.
They have
for a
wells.
week.
They don't have that problem.
Yeah, but so here's the difference. In New York, if the well pump system, like the distribution water system for my local part of the city, like my building or my block breaks down, I can go to the bodega and buy water. If you live out in the middle of
Until
nowhere,
they stop delivering it.
yeah, but in the short term, like in the immediate term.
Yes.
If you live in the middle of
The
nowhere,
preppers are not worried about a short-term problem. They're worried about the big one.
no, but I'm saying short-term problems become a much bigger deal if you live in a remote place. If the well pump system breaks on your well and you live in like northern Michigan, it's actually like you've got to travel a significant distance to get water, let alone get the parts to fix your well.
Usually you would just call someone who would come and fix your well.
Yeah, but if civil order's breaking down, you think that well person is going to come and fix your fucking well?
I guess you better know how to fix your own well, but the preppers are not really rational. That's
Yeah.
to begin
I'm
with.
just talking about the rational amount of preparation I do. Like when I was a kid, we lived in places where there wasn't an exotic animal hospital within walking distance. We kept a bunch of medical supplies in case like there was a medical emergency, like dog gets hurt or something. Like we had medical supplies. We could do sutures and stitches and things. And actually, if I lived like in upstate New York, like the top part of New York, like I guess
the real upstate New York, north of Albany, New York.
actually, someone gave me some terminology I'm going to start using. I just remembered this. They said that
Canada?
No, they said here are the regions of New York. There's New York City, which is New York.
Yes.
There's upstate, which means anywhere along the New York State Thruway. There's outstate, which means north of the New York State Thruway.
What about the Elmira Corning area that's south of the Thruway?
That's Penn State. Penn State, upstate, downstate, outstate. Those are the 4 parts of New York. I'm going to use this terminology.
So if it's on
henceforth.
87 or 90,
It's upstate.
but 87. What about the part where 87 keeps going into outstate? That's not the Thruway, but it's still 87.
I said the Thruway
All right.
originally. You're the one who said
So
87.
only 87 and 90, and not say 90. So 90 east of 87 doesn't count, and 87 north of 90
The New York
doesn't
Sky,
count.
you can just say the New York State Thruway. That's a designated road.
I'm
It
just
means
saying.
unless you're within some small number of miles of the New York State Thruway, and
Because
south
90,
of Yonkers,
but
you're upstate.
The thing is, 90 east of 87 really isn't. It's a lot like upstate. It's not like outstate.
You know what? Let's say there's a buffer anywhere there's a big city, like around Albany or Syracuse River. That's upstate. Like the area around Albany is upstate. You get north of Albany, that's outstate. Yeah. Preppers.
Yeah.
This is your idea. You got more to say other than those people are dumb?
They're dumb and crazy, and they're worried about some like disaster, and it's not going to happen. And even if it does happen, their preparation isn't really going to help them. It's
All right,
not.
so
It's not
here-
going to be like some zombie attack movie where you escape the city and you find some guy who still lives at his house, and he's got all the canned goods, and you're safe now for at least a while until you have interhuman troubles.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at.
You go out there, and that guy's dead already, and maybe there's canned food there.
Yeah, like that's what always amazes me about the preppers.
And
like,
you didn't even make it out there because you're dead too.
people who prudently prepare for things, like here's the difference. A prepper spends a lot of time and money on like learning how to do basic farming and like learning how to smelt iron and learning how to start fires from nothing. A real prepper, as in someone who is preparing for something that could happen, matches and lighters will still exist for decades after the breakdown of civil order. There are so many lighters in the world. I don't think you need to be able to start a fire with flint. I think you'll be able to find a lighter. So that's the level of preparation.
If the fuel in the lighter is decomposed or leaked out, you can get a match.
Or just find another lighter.
I mean,
There's
the bodega
billions
next
of
to
them.
me, do you know how many matches they have? If I'm like the only one left alive in Astoria, I will have so many matches.
But like there is no scenario ever where the prepper guy out in the middle of nowhere, knowing how to sow wheat and run a farm, like his own farm to rebuild society, is actually going to matter appreciably.
Doesn't even have the manpower. Even if he could sow the wheat, he can't harvest the wheat and mill it and do the baking. It is not enough people.
Yeah, it's almost like he'll need to recreate society. I don't think any situation
How many
where
babies are they going to make?
any situation where some of the cities don't survive is a situation where don't worry about it. That's Mad Max. That's such a different paradigm of existence that all that preparation was literally meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine the guy, like, everyone's like, in the city, people tend to have, like, the go bag. Like, if something happens, I can grab this and run.
Now,
It's like, all right, so what situation happened where you have to grab this and run?
Nuke goes off in downtown Manhattan.
Okay, we're disintegrated anyway.
No, we're not. Nukes aren't that big.
Well, I thought didn't we just do an episode about how thermonuclear weapons are so enormous?
You didn't really pay attention to that. Thermonuclear weapons did exist that are that enormous. Modern thermonuclear weapons, let alone the kind of device that if it was likely to happen, would happen in New York, would not touch us where we are in Queens.
I mean, we're still not going to make it.
Why not? Actually, that's a very survivable thing for us.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? So you go outside, you're all radiated.
No, actually. An airburst of a thermonuke, like a modern one that would take out lower Manhattan, the radiation exposure here would not be significant.
All right, good.
If it was a ground burst, it would become very significant over the course of days.
How do you know they're not going to, you think they're going to shoot just one at New York? They're not going to, like, hit Queens, too?
Yeah, so again, I'm not talking about global thermonuclear war is, again, a scenario where, fuck it, you're fucked. But imagine...
You don't think regular bombs that's going to land on you?
But imagine the much
You're
lower...
going to get lucky, you're the building that's not going to get bombed?
How are regular bombs going to get here? What countries have capabilities to bomb the United States?
Not many.
But here's a plausible but unrealistic scenario, Scott. A terrorist sets off a nuke in downtown Manhattan, destroying like a chunk of downtown Manhattan.
If it's one that can be set off, right, carried, it's not really going to hurt us over here.
There are bombs that could be carried.
Let's
that aren't as
say
big as
though,
those
let's
crazy
make it.
ones.
Let's get worse though, right? The nuke in Manhattan, doesn't matter what kind. You're at work. You're in Manhattan.
Yeah. All right.
You're not at home.
So what would I do?
In fact, you're on the street walking to lunch. You're not even in a building.
Yep. So the nuke goes off in downtown Tribeca.
Right. There's a flash you can't see now.
Yep.
You're on the street.
Yep. So it happened. Well,
You got a few seconds.
No, because it wouldn't. I wouldn't be within the kind of bomb that would actually be likely in that improbable scenario is not the kind of bomb that would disintegrate me even at that radius.
All right.
It'd probably be okay, just days. The bomb went off.
Yeah, no one's gonna die when the nuke goes off near them. Yeah.
Well, how near?
You're in downtown Manhattan.
So Scott, let's say we're both in Midtown doing something, and a nuke goes off in downtown.
Wait, I'm saying it goes off near you.
Well, if it's close enough to vaporize me, it didn't matter. If I'm outside of the significant blast radius, then I'm probably going to survive, and I actually have a plan.
All right, what's your plan? Run away?
So I would basically head northeast, and I'd have to get over the river into Queens, Long Island as fast as possible. However I do it. Because...
Gonna swim over the East River?
That's a pretty easy swim.
It's not the distance isn't the problem.
Well, then what's the problem?
The water's probably more deadly than the radiation.
Not in the short term. That slightly increased risk of cancer down the road. Maybe some gastrointestinal distress. I can deal with that.
Also, fish.
That's not what? Are the fish gonna eat me?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So what I'd actually probably do is walk over one of the bridges.
Also, you're getting hit by a boat.
Because you might probably not.
You don't
I'm
think
a
the boats are
decent
gonna?
swimmer.
You think everyone who's got a boat isn't gonna be using it to go?
Actually, the boats will probably be clogging the water so much I can jump from boat to boat. And also,
you can't get the boats are so high. You can't.
I would probably head to the area next to Roosevelt Island and go across that little bit, and then take the bridge in Roosevelt Island to my house.
Good strategy, but another good strategy. See, this is why I'm so much smarter than you.
All right, what's your strategy?
Steal a boat.
Scott, do you know how to start a boat?
If it's a boat with a steering wheel.
Do you know how to steer a boat? At all? Have you
With
ever
the
steered a
steering
boat?
wheel.
Have you
If
ever
it's a
steered a boat?
sailboat, I get 'em fucked. But if it's a powered boat with a steering wheel, I'm good.
How big is this boat?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does, because if it's really small, and you...
You know what? And you know what? If I get
Scott,
on,
have you ever piloted a boat
yeah, with a steering wheel.
that wasn't a swan boat?
Also swan boat.
Besides, boat, you're fucked. Like you said, the water areas will be clogged. Because remember, the danger of a nuke going
There's
off
so
downtown...
much water, you can just move. If you're on roads that get jammed with traffic, boat, just go.
Scott,
Helicopter's even better.
couple of boats bumping into each other, fuck everything forever.
Only if they're real big.
Nah.
Dude, the Circle Line will probably
All right,
make an
fine.
escape.
You get your boat, now what? Where are you going to go? Up or down?
It depends where the boat is.
All right, so you get a boat in the East River, up or down?
Where in the East River?
I don't know, next to Roosevelt Island. You go to the ferry dock and you steal the ferry.
Yeah. The water taxi?
Yeah.
Oh, water taxi. We can go up.
To where?
Long Island Sound, Connecticut.
All right, that's your plan? Just bail that way?
Yeah, why not?
So I have more pressing concerns of Emily's probably at home somewhere, and I got rabbits that I want to save.
Well, I don't need to save anybody except me.
Yeah, so I actually... Plus, you pretty much
And
want to get
If
away...
you go back for people, that's always a bad news. Every time in any sort of zombie movie, when you go back for people, all you find is dead people.
But
it's not a good deal.
you don't want to
Unless
go...
you're the main character, then you find the people, and then you have to deal with them, and then they die later, and it wasn't worth, and you would have been better off.
Going west would actually be difficult, probably, because that's where everyone else is trying to go.
Definitely not going west.
And while east is a dead end, but Long Island's pretty big.
It's not a dead end. You go out to sea, and you go to some other country.
Well, how are you going to go out to sea? Those boats are not seaworthy.
At least in the Hudson River, there's cruise ships you can get on.
You're going to pilot a cruise... You're going to steal a cruise ship?
No, but there's a captain on there.
Yeah, that cruise ship is already teeming with refugees, like streaming onto it, falling off, freaking out. You can't even get anywhere near that thing.
Not if it's just like in between voyages.
Basically, my real plan, my literal, like not even joking plan, is if
I know how to pronounce voyage, by the way. I just wanted to say voyage. Because people say bon voyage, right?
Yeah.
They're not saying bon voyage.
if shit ever went down in New York and I had to get away, my actual plan is to basically put the rabbits in backpacks with like a Cliff Bar or something, because I've always got those around.
Yes, I'm sure the effort of saving the rabbits.
It's worth it.
Okay.
I'd save pets. I would save pets in nuclear disaster.
Listen, the dog you gotta have dog. Dog can save itself. It'll just follow you. But rabbit is probably...
Rabbit will be okay. Just put them in a backpack. We're good.
I mean,
but
you'll probably die going back for the
remember,
rabbits. It's a big mistake.
To bring this back around, preparing to like hunker down and live here through this temporary societal breakdown, not worth it. I'm not going to have like a month of food and hide in my apartment with like a water supply growing crops on the roof and like barricading it waiting for civil order to get restored.
No, but I could live in DMZ, New York. I'd be cool with that.
Nah.
I'd rather live in DMZ, New York than modern day rural.
I only prepare enough to where by getting on my bike and or walking, within a day, I get to a place where there's still running water and food.
Yeah, I could bike away.
Yeah. Actually, biking away is probably the best way to get out because the roads would be clogged immediately. But once a road's clogged, it's real easy to bike on that road.
Yeah.
Real easy.
And, even if the shoulder's clogged, it's like, well,
That's right on the median.
Occasionally, when the cars are too close to each other, you get off your bike and
In fact,
walk
the biggest
and
danger,
step over a car.
the only actual danger is shitheads who are stuck in their cars trying to steal your bike. So you got to be willing to punch and or shoot a person along the way.
Well, I mean, if there's a Mad Max, you're going to have to start shooting or punching people because you got Fist of the North Star power.
Yep. So I'd probably walk across the bridge. You might think, but Rim, the bridges, especially like the Queensboro Bridge, is going to be completely fucked. Yes, that's true.
Well, you better hope it's structurally sound after depending what happened.
Well, if something happened that could
A lot of these bridges are not new. They're not fancy modern bridges, right?
So I am a very capable boulderer. I could easily, because if it got bad, the cops aren't going to come up on the bridge and stop me.
They don't give a fuck anymore.
I would just climb over like the top of the bridge. That would actually be really easy to do, avoiding all the dangerous people, all the cars, all the bullshit that's going on in the regular part of the bridge.
Listen, you know what? In fact, something interesting, right? Knowing stuff about the city helps, right? It's like the Hellgate Bridge, which is right near me.
Yep.
That bridge has been way old. That's like a super old bridge, ridiculously old. It's also a rail bridge. No one's going to be on it, and the trains aren't going to be running either.
Yeah.
I can just get up there and walk over. People have done that. It's not really a problem.
Yep. I actually know the routes of a lot of the subway tunnels that aren't used, or at least aren't used for passenger service. So yeah,
I don't think it's going to be safe down there.
So Scott, it's
not safe down there now.
So to go back to your other scenario, if I was close to a nuke that went off that didn't kill me in New York, the most important thing to do
duck and cover.
Is just to get away from the possible radiation effects as soon as possible.
There are buildings that have little fallout signs on them. You just find one of those and go in.
The plebs are all going to go into those. I would probably go
I don't think the plebs even know to go into those. Plebs from the 50s know, but modern day plebs are never taught.
Plebs are in the street freaking out. You got to get off the street.
Into one of those nice buildings.
I would not do that. I would actually go down into the subway tunnel.
Yeah, that's about as safe.
Because the people aren't going to go down there. They're afraid of that shit. And let me tell you, subway's going to stop running real quick.
You better hope the third rail turns off.
I am confident that I am capable of not touching the third rail.
You never know.
Also, I know where a lot of those like secret shafts and paths are down there. So I just go down there and walk along all those paths until I could get to Queens.
Sure.
Just staying underground out of the radiation.
I'd go more to the Bronx, where it's safer.
The Bronx is going to be clogged with refugees streaming north, freaking out and killing each other.
I'm underground, so...
The subway is above ground there.
Not the A train.
Oh yeah, but the A train doesn't go far enough.
I can get to Fort Tryon.
Like no, that's in Manhattan still. Then what?
That's a fort.
You gonna barricade yourself in the fort
with the tapestries,
with the preppers,
with the tapestries.
I've actually never gone in there and seen the tapestries.
Wow, you really haven't?
No, in all these years I've never done it.
I've been there like 2 or 3 times. You want to go there?
I've been. Yeah, I kind of do.
It's really nice. There's a nice park there too.
As soon as it's nice enough, you, me, and Emily, let's bike there and go in.
Yeah, it's pretty safe to tie your bike up outside.
Also, I'll carry my crazy lock. Between the 3 of us, we'll have 3 locks. We'll lock all our bikes together. So it'll take someone a while to get through all those chains.
This is a suggested donation to see the tapestries.
You know what? I've never been there. Maybe I'll give them a donation of some kind.
Yeah.
You got anything else you wanted to say about preppers?
No, that was the only idea I had that was remotely viable.
Because I basically don't prepare for anything except by having money.
Yep.
But I do common sense preparations.
If money can't save you, you're fucked anyway, whatever.
But like I said, if a serious storm is coming and I'm not evacuating, like hurricane's coming to New York and I'm not evacuating, the reason I don't evacuate is that I'm actually in the evacuation zone, so everyone else in this area
if you look at
if
you look at like the flooding map, because I mean I'm pretty close to the water, right? The East River. Actually it's like across the street. It's like, not so good, flooding. But, like, my apartment building, they're like, all right.
Yeah, my block is literally the go here if shit goes south, like, situation. But
I'm just, like, one zone different. They're, like, in an oh, shit, flood zone. I'm in, like, meh, flood,
but, like,
whatever.
Here, reasonable preparation. If there is a significant hurricane coming.
I'm on the 3rd floor, so I kind of hope that if there is a flood, that it reaches the 3rd floor, because then I can just, like, get a rowboat outside my, balcony and start moving around.
Where are you going to even have a rowboat?
I'll just get an inflatable.
Are you going to buy one before the hurricane?
No, an Amazon drone will deliver it to me.
Yeah, that doesn't exist yet.
No, you see your thing.
This This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
This episode of Geek Nights is brought to you by the following patrons, all of whom are giving us at least $5 and are listed in the order of the amount of money that they give us. Rebecca Dunn, Nicholas Brandau, Amanda Duchette, .com, Mechanical Mind, William Eisenrose, Jeremy Miner. You expected the next name to be yours, but it was me, Dio. Scott John Harrison, Sean Yeager, Clinton Walton, Ren from New Zealand, Robert Lee, Ryan Perrin, Drew Openlander, Rare Lavelle, Brian Cedrone, Rochelle Montanona, Finn Eric Silverrod, Can't Melt Steel Beams, Kinetic Man, Aaron Cerise, Chris Midkiff, Chris Knox, Renee from New Zwehand, Sam Cordery, Daniel Redmond, Chris Haddad, Sean Klein, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. I'm getting near the end of the Wheel of Time, so I might do a little special and just review the entire Wheel of Time, because I actually know that a good number of you enjoy the Wheel of Time, as you bring up every time I tweet something obscure, like, wonder what Randall Tor's up to today, and I get a lot of like, oh, what book are you on? Did such and such happen yet? So we'll see. I suspect Scott will not read past the 5th or 6th book, so it's going to be just me, and I don't think I could ever convince Emily to read these books. And I kind of have to finish him before the next R. Scott Backer book comes out, because I plan to read all of the Prince of Nothing books again in order to anticipate that book's arrival. Anyway, as I said, we got a bunch of panels up. We just put up the February Q&A. The March Q&A question submission is going to come up real soon. Tomorrow, Rimley Review, I'll have the review of Zootopia that Emily and I did. And I said I was going to do this before, and I got distracted. I'm going to put up something for the regular patrons, everyone, not just the $5 people. But basically, I'm going to give a Google form, and I want you to submit like a sentence or something, and I'm just going to read them in the order that they get submitted. And I'm going to open the thing for a while and then close it, and I'm just going to tell whatever story you guys ask me to tell. And we'll see how that goes. This might be a terrible, terrible mistake. And now I leave you with something interesting.
Who cares about brains if the people are happy? Don't lower your luxury rate. You can do anything but lay off my luxury rate, noble leader. I concur, your majesty. No, your majesty. Pay them no heed, your majesty. A word, your majesty. I'm concerned, majesty. Man. Oh yeah, uh-huh. I don't mean to be stepping on your gilded sandals, King, but the government will fall if we don't entertain the people. Science and taxes be damned, your nobleness. The people need luxuries to soothe their aching hearts. A cloud darkens our land, noble leader, and the people need entertaining quickly. Wise men say that only fools run an empire without luxuries.